If only I had seen the knife before it went into my back, I might have protected myself. But you never expect betrayal from someone you mentored. I sat in the conference room at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, surrounded by my team, watching my boss introduce Paige Hamilton as the new Director of Innovation. My position. The role I'd worked toward for 3 years. The promotion I'd been promised 6 months ago. Paige smiled at everyone, looking humble and grateful. She'd only been with the company for 4 months. I'd trained her myself, and she'd just stolen everything I'd built. My name is Tessa Morgan. I'm 34 years old and I've worked at Harlow Tech for 8 years, starting as a junior analyst and climbing to senior project manager. For the past 3 years, I've been leading Project Catalyst, a complete overhaul of our client management system. It was my baby. I designed it, pitched it, built the team, and shepherded it through every obstacle. When Paige was hired as my assistant project manager in December, I was relieved to have help. She was smart, asked good questions, and seemed eager to learn. I taught her everything. Looking back now, the signs were obvious. Paige started scheduling meetings with senior leadership without me. She'd say, "Just keeping them updated so you can focus on the real work." She asked to be included on emails to stakeholders, then began replying before I could, subtly positioning herself as the primary contact. In January, she asked if she could present at the quarterly board meeting because she needed experience with executive presentations. I said yes. I thought I was mentoring her. I was actually handing her the ammunition to shoot me. At the February board meeting, Paige presented Project Catalyst's progress. I'd written every slide, but she delivered them like they were her vision. She talked about challenges I overcame and solutions I implemented. Every I should have been we or Tessa. After the meeting, 3 board members congratulated her. Our CEO asked about her innovative approach. I stood there in shock as she accepted praise for my work. When I confronted her later, she said, "You're so senior, you don't need recognition. I'm just trying to build my career." I should have escalated it then. On March 15th, my boss, Kyle, asked me to come to his office. "We're making some organizational changes," he said. "Paige has really impressed leadership with her work on Project Catalyst. We're promoting her to Director of Innovation. You'll report to her going forward." I couldn't breathe. "Kyle, Project Catalyst is my project. I built it from nothing." He looked uncomfortable. "Paige has been the face of it to leadership. They see her as the driving force. But don't worry, you'll still be the senior project manager. That's important too." Important too. My 3 years of work had just been erased. I went home that day and did something I never did before. I called in sick the next day. I sat on my couch, crying, felt furious and humiliated. Then I opened my laptop. I'm a project manager. Documentation is literally my job. I had everything, every email, every meeting note, every design document, every version of every presentation. I had timestamps showing I'd created files months before Paige was even hired. I had emails where I'd explained concepts to her that she later presented as her own insights. I had proof of everything. And suddenly, I wasn't sad anymore. I was strategic. I didn't quit. I didn't confront Paige. I didn't even seem upset. Monday morning, I came in smiling and congratulated her. "You've learned so much," I said. "I'm excited to see where you'd take the project to." She looked relieved. She'd been worried I'd make a scene. Instead, I became the perfect employee. Helpful. Positive. No complaints. Meanwhile, I documented every single thing. When Paige made decisions I'd already researched and dismissed, I stayed silent. When she presented my ideas in meetings as her original thoughts, I took notes. I was building a case, and she had no idea. By April, Project Catalyst started showing problems. Not because of sabotage. I would never hurt the project I'd built. The cracks were because Paige didn't actually understand how the project worked. She'd learned the talking points, not the mechanics. When clients asked technical questions, she fumbled. When the development team pushed back on her timeline changes, she couldn't explain the underlying dependencies. She scheduled meetings to realign the vision, which really meant she needed me to fix things quietly. I did, but I documented every time she needed my rescue. In May, Project Catalyst faced its first major board review under Paige's leadership. The project was 15% over budget and 3 weeks behind schedule because of changes she'd made without understanding the implications. She was panicking. The night before the review, she came to my desk. "Tessa, I need your help with the presentation. You know this project better than anyone." I smiled. "Of course. What do you need?" I stayed until midnight helping her prepare. And I saved every draft, every change, every moment where she admitted she didn't understand her own project. The board review was a disaster. Paige couldn't answer basic questions. When asked why we'd gone over budget, she blamed the development team. When asked about timeline delays, she blamed vendor issues. Board members exchanged looks. Our CEO, Victoria Ashford, asked questions that revealed Paige had no grasp of the project's foundation. "Walk me through your decision-making process for the platform architecture," Victoria said. Paige froze. She literally couldn't answer because she hadn't made that decision. I was 18 months into the project before she was hired. The room grew uncomfortable. The meeting ended badly. After the review, Paige came to me in tears. "I'm going to get fired," she said. "I need you to fix this. Please." Part of me wanted to let her drown. But I'm not cruel, and more importantly, I needed the project to succeed. So, I fixed everything. I corrected the budget overruns by renegotiating with vendors using relationships I'd built over 3 years. I realigned the timeline by leveraging my understanding of the technical architecture. Within 2 weeks, Project Catalyst was back on track. Paige took credit for the turnaround in her status report to leadership. I have a copy of that email. In June, Victoria Ashford announced a company-wide innovation summit. Each department would present its major initiatives to the entire company, all leadership, and key investors. Project Catalyst would be the centerpiece. Paige would present, and she had 6 weeks to prepare. She was terrified because she knew she couldn't fake expertise in front of 300 people. She asked me to write her presentation. Not help. Write it entirely. "You're so much better at this," she said. I agreed. And I crafted the presentation very, very carefully. The presentation I created for Paige was technically perfect. Every fact was accurate. Every slide was beautiful. But I built in something special. Deep technical questions that would naturally arise from the content. Questions about architecture decisions, vendor selection criteria, budget allocation methodology. Questions that anyone who'd actually led the project could answer easily. Questions that Paige couldn't answer because she'd never done the work. I didn't sabotage her. I just stopped protecting her. The presentation would create the opportunity for truth. What she did with it was up to her. The Innovation Summit was held on July 18th in the main auditorium. 300 people filled the seats. Victoria sat in the front row. I sat in the back, my laptop open with my folder of documentation ready. Paige took the stage in a sharp suit. She had a confident smile in place. She delivered the presentation beautifully. I'd coached her well. For 30 minutes, she talked about vision, innovation, and impact. Then came the Q&A. The first question was from our Chief Technology Officer. "Can you walk us through your rationale for choosing MongoDB over PostgreSQL for the database architecture?" Paige's smile faltered. Paige attempted to answer but clearly had no idea what she was talking about. She threw out buzzwords: scalability, flexibility, industry best practices. The CTO frowned. "That doesn't address the specific technical requirements. This is a significant architectural decision. What was your evaluation process?" Paige looked at me in the back row, eyes pleading. I stayed silent. She fumbled through a non-answer. More questions came, each more specific. Why this vendor? Why that timeline? What about this alternative approach? Each question revealed that she didn't understand the project she supposedly led. Whispers spread through the auditorium. Victoria stood up. The room went silent. "Paige, I'm confused. You've been presenting this project as your vision for months. But you can't answer basic questions about decisions that would have been made by the project lead. Can you explain that?" Paige's face went red. These are details that my team handles. I focus on strategy and vision." She stammered. Victoria's expression hardened. "The database architecture isn't a detail. It's fundamental. Who made that decision? There was a loud silence. Then quietly Paige said, Tessa did. Victoria looked at me in the back. Tessa, would you come up here, please? I walked to the stage, my folder in hand. Victoria said, tell me about the MongoDB decision. I explained the full evaluation process. The 3 alternatives I'd considered, the testing I'd conducted, the cost-benefit analysis, the scalability projections. I spoke for 5 minutes with perfect clarity because I'd lived every detail. The CTO nodded. That's exactly the kind of rigorous analysis I'd expect. Paige, why didn't you know this? Paige said, I was involved in all of it. I looked at Victoria and said, I can prove otherwise. Would you like to see the documentation? Victoria said, yes. Let's go to the executive conference room. Paige, Tessa, Kyle, and legal team, please join me. 20 minutes later, I sat at a conference table with my laptop open. I showed them everything. The original project proposal I'd written in May 2 years ago, months before Paige was hired. Email chains where I'd made every major decision. Meeting notes in my handwriting. Design documents with my name and timestamp. Calendar invitations showing I'd led every client meeting for 2 years. Then I showed them emails from March through June where Paige had asked me to explain basic concepts, fix her mistakes, and write her presentations. The evidence was overwhelming. Victoria looked at Paige. Did you deliberately take credit for work you didn't do? Paige tried to defend herself. I contributed. I learned from Tessa and built on her foundation. I pulled up Paige's status reports to leadership, where she'd written things like, I designed, I implemented, my vision. Victoria's face was stone. This is fraud. You misrepresented your contributions to secure a promotion. That's a fireable offense. Paige started crying. I was just trying to advance my career. Tessa's so senior, she doesn't need recognition. Victoria cut her off. That's not your decision to make. You're terminated effective immediately. Paige was escorted out by security that afternoon. Kyle was demoted for promoting someone without proper vetting and ignoring clear warning signs. Victoria called me to her office the next morning. I owe you an apology, she said. We failed you. You did extraordinary work and we gave credit to someone else. That's unacceptable. She offered me the Director of Innovation position with a 30% raise and a formal apology from the entire company. She also asked me to present Project Catalyst at our National Client Conference. This time, my name was on every slide. If only Paige had understood that competence can't be faked forever, she might still have a career. But she chose shortcuts over substance, credit over contribution. She thought stealing my work would get her ahead. Instead, it destroyed her reputation in our industry. Word travels fast in tech. She's unemployable now. Not because I badmouthed her. I didn't have to. Her actions spoke for themselves. The lesson isn't about revenge. It's about documentation and patience. When someone tries to erase you, make sure you can prove your existence. And trust that the truth has a way of emerging, usually at exactly the right moment. Project Catalyst launched successfully in October and won an Industry Innovation Award. My name was on the trophy. I'm still Director of Innovation at Harlow Tech, and my team has grown to 15 people. I'm careful about mentorship now. Not closed off, but more discerning. I look for people who ask, how can I contribute? Instead of how can I advance? The difference matters. I heard Paige tried to start a consulting business but it failed within 6 months. I feel no satisfaction in that. What I feel is validation that hard work and integrity matter. Not always immediately, but eventually. And that's enough. If you've ever had someone take credit for your work, hit the like button. You're not alone, and your contributions matter. Please, kindly subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories. Comment below about where you're watching from and share your own story.